second picture we're going to do is this picture. So this is, it's black and white, yellow. The blue we're going to mix with the ochre to come up with that olive color.
Okay.
No sketch for that. We're going to do this freehand, but you will, if you have a blow dryer would be good for that one. So no sketch, we're just going to go for it. But let's just get into art mode at this point. We'll take a few deep breaths in. So that would be 3 at the top of the breath. Just hold your breath for just for a moment, a second, count to 3, count to 5, and then release. And then we'll take the second and third breath doing the same thing. So as we do that, we'll just drop our shoulders way down, open up this area so we have lots of oxygen. So first deep breath in and hold it and release. Second deep breath in and hold it and release. Shoulders down, open this up. Third deep breath in and hold it and release. Okay, so now I think we're into art mode. We're relaxed. This is not a difficult picture today. For anybody that's new on today, this is a watercolor art class. I'll just go through step by step, but this picture is not a difficult picture. This is what we're going to end up with, believe it or don't. And we're going horizontal. So the same way the horizon is, left to right, side to side, horizontal. So for this picture, I have it on an easel right now, but I am going to take it off the easel. If I was to leave it on the easel and try to paint what we're going to paint, it wouldn't work. So I need it to be flat. So I'll hold it on an angle and you'll be able to see what it is that I'm doing, but I may end up putting it completely flat at times. So we're going to, with clear water, and I'm using a fairly big brush. This is a number 12. It's a mop brush with clear water. And I hope you enjoy this project. I think this is a fun one to try. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to wet the whole canvas with clear water, the whole thing. So I don't want it sopping wet, but we will wait a few minutes in between just to let it dry a little bit. You just want to wet everything. So just have a look at the light and just see if you've got any extra spots where you've missed, where they're dry. And then you can take with paper towel and just tap off the outside edges in case you've got water all over the place, which sometimes happens to me. So not completely soaked, but wet all the way around, but not dripping. So if you're not sure if you have too much water, if you hold your canvas on an angle and let the excess water, if you've got a paper towel, oops, I froze. So just let the excess water, sorry, I froze there for a moment. Let the excess water come down off the corner. So we don't want too much water. And I'm just going to let that sit for a minute. I don't want it soaking wet. I don't want it dry, but I want it to be just a little bit shiny, not so totally glossy. And it's okay if this sits for a minute or so. And for this, I'm going to use my angled brush. So it has an angle, a bit of a point on it if you've got a brush like that. So it's not, you could use a pointed brush, but I'm just using an angle because I'm going to go from one side to the other in one stroke. So I may do more than one, but at this point, I'm just going to do one stroke going across the middle. So we're going to start with black. So I'm dipping my brush in black. And I'm going from one side to the other. I'm just imagining what is halfway across my picture. If it's not a complete straight line, not to worry. So I've got a line all the way across the center. Now I'm going to dip my brush into the water, and I'm going back over that black line with water, fresh water. And it's going to start to run. So I'm going to do it a second time. I want it to run. So maybe my paper was a little bit too dry, so I'm just going to add a little bit of water because I do want it to run. And I'm going to turn my canvas the other way. And I'm going to run some fresh water because I do want that to run. I want it to bleed down into that. So I'm coming back onto with fresh black paint, coming all the way across again. So this is back and forth. I want that black paint to run both up and down. So I'm going to turn it again. I can go back again on the center line with black paint. Like I said, it doesn't have to be an exact straight line. I'm going to turn my canvas again and let it run. So I'll just continue to turn my canvas one way then the other and let it run. And now once I have this say background going on, I want to blow dry this. So when we blow dry this, try not to go too close to your picture. You don't want to have the lines move when you paint. So hold your blow dryer a little bit away from your picture, but we'll need to blow dry this to do the next step. So I'm just going to mute, and that's what we'll do. So this is what I've ended up with. I'm not sure what you ended up with, and they'll probably be all different, different variety, different lines, different lengths. So now I'm just using clear water. Again, I'm just going back onto my picture with the same brush, with my angle brush, and I'm going to go over the center line and clear out a space. So you can actually decide with your picture which way is top and which way is bottom. But I'm going to do this several times to clear out a space in the center of my picture. So I'm removing paint. So it will take more than one time. So as I run my brush along and clear a space, I'm just tapping off that excess paint on a paper towel, getting my brush wet again, but tapping the excess off. So I'm just working with a damp brush and not pressing so hard that I damage my canvas, letting the brush do the lifting. So you can see I'm starting to carve out a shoreline. Just carving out a shoreline just by clearing out a space, lifting off paint. So I can take a lot off, or I can take a little bit off. It depends on how your brush is working, how wet your brush is. But carving out that center space just to give a shoreline. Don't let this be the last time that you paint. This is a fun project. So that's as clear as I'd like mine to be right now. And then I'm going to go into my yellow paint. So I have Hansa yellow. You could have bright yellow, you could have medium yellow. Whoops, I've got something on my screen here. There we go. Hang on. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to use my yellow and go all the way across with my yellow. Just in that spot. And if I go higher or lower, that's okay. I'm still going to add a little bit more on. But that's the yellow on top of the black. We'll start to turn a little bit of a green color. So it will start to turn a little bit of a green color because yellow and black will do that together. So now we also have the color ochre. And I'm going to put ochre just periodically. I'm not overdoing it, but I'm going to put some ochre here and there on my shoreline. Just a few spots. And where I put that, I'm going to put a smaller little version of that down below. So where I've got that up above, I'm just going to put a lighter bit down below. Now my black has dried, so it will have a little bit of a gray tint to it. On the shoreline, I'm going to take fresh black, and I'm just going to put a few little fresh black marks. And where I put that fresh black up on the top, I'm going to put a little tiny bit of it down below. So this is the reflection. I'm going to do another one here just to demonstrate in the center. I've got fresh black and just a little bit of black down below. And then I can come over to the side. Always I like to do uneven, not necessarily uneven marks, but it's 1, 3, or 5. So there's a lump there, and I'm going to just put a little bit of dark down below there. It doesn't even have to be exactly the same. Now with the black, I'm going to water it down just so slightly. Just add a little bit of water to my black. Just put a little puddle. And I've switched to a smaller brush, a number 2 brush. And I'm just going to do the look of some trees, not to overdo them. Just a few trees And I'm using the same brush, not putting on fresh paint because I want it to be lighter. I'm just putting a few of those in down below as a reflection. We'll come back to this reflection before we're finished. But I'm here and there. I'm not going to do a whole forest. But wherever I put marks up top, I'm putting them down below. And they're just the tiniest of marks, hardly touching the canvas. Really light touch. So have a look and see if you want to add a little bit more black on your shore or a little bit more ochre. You want it to show up more. Maybe it's disappeared with some of the black or blended in. So go ahead, and if you want to add a little bit more, go ahead. There's a little patch that I've just added onto my picture. Sometimes when it dries, it's just a little bit lighter than I like. So you can go ahead and you can pop that color back on, fresh color. And remember, there's not much in watercolor that you can't fix. So if it's darker than you like, you can go ahead and you can add a little bit water, or you can do some lifting off. All right, now we're going to go ahead with a wet brush. I'm wetting it, but it's damp actually, so it's not soaking wet. And I'm going to go over with my brush. Actually, it does need to be a little bit wetter than that. I'm going to go over top of my trees in the water. So I'm going to cause a line I'm creating a line. I'm going to actually switch to my diagonal brush. It's a little firmer. So I'm going to create a line in where those trees are showing. So I want to carve out a little bit. I'm lifting off, carving out a little space in between. So I'm lifting off paint deliberately, going one side to the next. And I don't want that just to be a stop in the middle of nowhere, so I'll carry on that line, move it a little bit. But I'm looking for a reflection. So I'm creating that reflection by lifting off paint. So when you're done, if you've been able to make those little carvings between where the trees are, you'll be able easily to tell which way is up and which way is down on your picture, because your reflection is in the water. And that's without any blue water. So for some of you, that might have been a little bit tricky. It's a spontaneous pop-up art project that I thought you would enjoy to try something different. I hope you enjoyed that. And the next hardest thing we need to do is decide where are we going to put our artist signature on this picture. And I'm going right over in the corner. So for those of you that have never done anything quite like that before, the first time around can be a little bit tricky. It's worth trying again, even if you take the corner of a piece of paper and just do a little bit of lifting off, throw on some paint, do some lifting off, throw some branches in there and make some shadows or reflections in the water down below. It's kind of fun just to try and see what you can end up with. And it doesn't have to be black and green like this one is, or black and yellow. It can be any different color combination that you like. Yeah, oh, that was fun. That was fun to teach. That's spontaneous art. So I hope you like that. There you go. That's what you can do in 1 hour.